So really, I want to say there is this concept around goal setting. And if you already have an aversion to it, if you're already the hair on the back of your neck is kind of standing up, or you're feeling like already you're a failure because you haven't done it, or yeah, I've done it. I already did it, but I've fallen off. I'm already, not doing what I'm supposed to. Then this is my conversation to you. Welcome to you. And I feel like I'm having a one-on-one coaching session with you. And where we're going with this today is this is the number one requested topic that people want to cover in most of the times where I have any type of session. They're like, we got to get into that goal setting. We have to get into, how do I make it successful? How do I have it impact me and be able to actually deliver on what I'm ultimately going for? And so today, you get me, I get you, and consider this a kind of a good kick in the pants to you, that if you haven't done it, if you haven't really sat down and focused on this, now is your time. And if you have done it, now's the time to take it to the next level. All right. So are you up for doing all of this? So really, I want to say there is this concept around goal setting. And if you already have an aversion to it, if you're already the hair on the back of your neck is kind of standing up, or you're feeling like already you're a failure because you haven't done it, or yeah, I've done it. I already did it, but I've fallen off. I'm already, not doing what I'm supposed to. Then this is my conversation to you. And the reason we want to do this, whether it's the word goals that kind of rub you wrong, change it to priorities, change it to your hit list, change it to what you ultimately want to achieve, whatever you call it. Why do we want to do it? Why is it so critical for the most successful entrepreneurs and C-suite executives and leadership to be doing this, as well as anybody? Honestly, this is what stands between you and that lifestyle of success that you want to live, because there's always things that you could want to achieve. And so when I think about why would you want to do this? Why do you want to sit and listen to this? Because one, this is going to be the most impactful thing that you've had happen all year, all quarter, all month, all week. And the reason that we go into so much detail around this is it's not just New Year's resolutions. And personally, I think that's just a bunch of a load to give people the idea that they're really not good enough, because it reaffirms when you stop doing your whatever you're trying to do goal by about mid-January or late January, that, you know what, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. And we don't want to go there. We want this to be truly the year of you. How does that sound to each and every one of you? We talk about relaunch. Let's relaunch not just your business, but let's relaunch you and make it December 31st. You are reviewing, God, what a year. And what would you want to say that you've already done that has happened? And so there was a study that was spread about from Harvard or it was Yale, one of them, nobody seems to really know. And it said that the top 3% of a class that graduated ended up writing down their goals. And after they followed these people for 20 years, the people who had written down the goals had made 10x the revenue of everyone else. Okay. Well, unfortunately, I got to give you some bad news. One, that was totally bogus. It never happened. And it's, one of those urban myths that we like to, keep going with. And, this is what you need to do. But here's what it did do. What it did do is it allowed for people to start to really look at what does goal setting really allow people to do? And why is it so important? And there is a study that was at the Dominican University in California. And it ended up, I think that there was, about 250 people that went through the study, 147 completed it. And the results are interesting and they validate the importance of how to do goal setting to actually achieve what you're putting down and what you want. And what you're supposed to do is they broke it into 5 different types of groups. And the first group just visualized what they wanted. The second group, they visualized and they wrote down what they wanted. The third group did the visualization. They did the writing down and they wrote down action steps. The fourth group, they did visualization. They wrote it down. They put action steps, but then they told a friend, a peer, that this is what they were going to accomplish. And the fifth group, which visualized, and then they wrote down their goals. They had the action steps. They told a friend, colleague, peer. They also consistently, weekly, gave an updated progress report. Well, when it was all said and done, the group that had done the 5 steps, all of it, the visualization, the writing it down, the actions, telling a friend, and they were tracking it with accountability, they blew past every single one of the people in the other groups, and they ended up being far more successful. So the real question is, do you, first and foremost, want to do better than you've ever done? If there is even an inkling in your mind right now that you are not where you thought you would be at this point in your life, you're not where you thought you would be at this point in your life, whether it's in your career or whether it's in relationships or whether it's in your own personal, journey here with either health, fitness, spirituality, whatever it is. If you're not where you thought you'd be, or if you right now are saying, geez, I want to take it to that next level. I don't want to just take it to the next level. I want to dominate. I want to become a powerhouse of possibility. Then stay tuned, because this is what we're going into right now. You can catch this also over on YouTube, where I have some slides that I'm showing. So if you want to see and you want to hear, go ahead, do that. If you are just like, hey, I just want to hear Hilary, I want to listen with everything I have, then you are in the right place, okay? But I want you to know that all you have to be doing now is taking this in. Taking this in. I'm going to give you an opportunity at the end where you can reach out to us. We're going to give you a little bit more, because that's what we like to do, all right? So when you think of 3HQ, and I talk about this all the time, we're no longer in this IQ space of intelligence only. We're no longer in EQ, where your emotional quotient and what you're really emotionally connect to is the end all, and that's it. Today's world demands that we come at our life, at our business, with the mindset of 3HQ, meaning Head, heart, higher self. Higher self is the best version of you. Being able to access whether it's, God, spirit, universe, a power source for you, whatever it is, just understanding that you're not in an isolated world, that you are part of something bigger than yourself. All right. Which means that we have all the ability to tap into that. One person's success, you know what that tells me? That charges me up to say, hey, if they can have that success, so can I. If they can achieve that, so can I. If I want to 10x what they've done, I can do that. All right. Sounds pretty good, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to break it down so that you really understand where we're going. So I'm going to 3HQ you right now. And the first part of doing that is I got to get you out of your head. This place that, I don't know, Hilary, this is, this sounds like it might be too much work for me. Is it too much work to have your company 10x itself? Is it too much work to have a relationship that you want to stand on the mountaintops and scream and say, my God, I finally have achieved this? Is it too much to say, I've got the lifestyle of success that I've always dreamed about that I never thought could actually happen? Well, just wait. Here we go. So everything comes from a concept that, if you really think about it, success is drawn towards your ability to bring in, to draw in, to manifest what you're looking to have. So I want to turn you into a magnet. Boom. You want this? We know how to get there. You want this? I got you covered. So I need you to understand a concept. And the concept is this, that we all have situations, environments. We all have the way we grew up, the house we lived in, what people told you, might even be a story around what you think about goal setting, right? Oh, that stuff never works. Or, yeah, I've always done it. I couldn't think about not doing it. What is your story that you're telling yourself right now? Because usually that was given to you by somebody else. It wasn't a story you created. And so once you can think about that, you've got this thought going, you've got a thought around goal setting, and there might be an emotion attached. A thought and an emotion when they're repeated over and over. And it might even be something that you're not even aware of. It might be, a thought around like the fear of failure. It might be, the fear of being, found out that like I really can't achieve anything, that you're so worried about it that you don't want to go for it. It might be the fear. It might be a procrastination issue. It might be a perfectionist issue. But somehow when you have a thought and an emotion repeated over time, what that creates is your beliefs. And you have empowering beliefs and you have limiting beliefs. We all do. And I call the limiting beliefs bugs, beliefs underground surfacing, beliefs underground surfacing. And these pesky bugs always come up at the most inopportune time. They always come up when you're like, all of a sudden you're jamming, things are going so well. And then it's like the skid, and you can't move forward. And you just feel like you're completely stuck. And you're like, what happened? I was doing so well. My revenue was going, my relationships were going. I was feeling like I was on, cloud nine. Everything's going so great. And then it's not. What's going on? Well, you can't be above your own identity, which is mapped to your belief system. Your identity, who you are, what you stand for, and you can just fill in the blanks. I am what? I am an athlete. I am overweight. I am a creator. I am not good in front of people. I am whatever it is. That's your identity. And that's because you have thoughts and emotions that validate it, that keep validating it over time. Well, we need to be breaking that down. We need to say, wait a second, if you're going to reach the goals that I want you to reach, I got to elevate you in terms of your identity. I have to bring you up. And the way I do that is through energy. You may be like, oh my God, Hilary, what is she talking about? Okay. So if everything is energy, and we know that scientifically, everything around us, the desk that I'm sitting at, the camera that I'm looking in, the trees outside, everything, including you, energy. Thoughts have energy. Emotions have energy. And so there is actually an energy level chart. You can check it out. It's in my book as well, The Relaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life. And when you are having emotions and thoughts that are negative, that are shameful, blaming, fear, you're operating at a very low level of energy because that's what is attached to those emotions. So, in order to craft your new goals that you're going to be accomplishing this year, I don't want you to come at it from, I'm not going to be able to do that. This isn't going to work for me. Oh my gosh, I've got, my kids are constantly, asking me to drive here, do this. My husband is demanding. My wife keeps telling me I need to do this. When am I going to have time? That is going to keep you at a low level. And as you're trying to come up with your goals for the year, you're going to be like, way down there. And we know that like attracts like. We know that the law of attraction, the law of resonance, where you are resonating energy wise, that's what you're going to be pulling in. So the things you want that you don't have are probably on a different energy level right now, or you might already have them. So what I want you to be thinking about right now is, where are you on an energy level? And if we think about love and joy, that's all the way up above 500. And it's not just as you go up and you're going shame, blame at maybe 30, and then you get to fear at 100, and then you get to love, joy around that 500 to 550 level. It's not like it's a 1x to 2x to 3x. It's exponential. So we want you focused at that level, which means I need to 3HQ you again. And the first part of 3HQ, the first step is for you to tune in. You need to tune into your thoughts around, let's just keep it very focused, goal setting. You need to tune in to the stories you're telling about your past successes with goal setting or not setting goals. And you need to tune in to emotions, thoughts, stories, all of that. Then step 2 in the tune in process is that I need to change your channel. I need to up level you. And how do I do that? I need you to think of a song that absolutely elevates your mood. That when you think of that song, you want to start tapping your toes. You want to start moving your body. You want to start to just like bring in more of the goodness. All right. So what is it? What's your go-to absolute elevate mood song? What is it? Come on, tell me right now. I need to hear it. Okay, I want you to close your eyes. Start to hear that inside of you. Start to listen to it, get into it, really lean into that song. Well, what that's already doing for you, no matter where you are, is it's elevating your energy. I mean, how cool is that? Because now, as the next step, as we understand, this feels good. Yeah, I like where I am right now. I like this space. I like where Hilary's taken me right now. Then the next step is, all right, what is it that you want to bring into your world? What is the vision? Where do you want to go? And stop thinking small. Stop thinking there's limits. There's not. It's limitless. You put limits on you. on what you think you can achieve. And I don't want you to go down that path of like, well, yeah, I really want to triple my revenue. I really want to increase my followers. I really want to increase a line of business. I really want to, open up a storefront. I really want to, whatever it is, and try to come up with the hows right now. I don't need you to come up with the how. I need you to come up with that dreaming big. What would that vision, think about this, what would a lifestyle of success mean to you? Define it. Grab paper, a journal, and just what would that mean? And if you're in the middle of this and we're moving forward and I'm continuing down this path to get you to the end, and you're like, wait, what'd she say again? Come back, listen to this again, and pause it as you go through it so that you really can give yourself the space. What does lifestyle of success look like for you? So as we go forward and you're thinking about like, okay, I'm elevating myself, my vision. Where do I really want to go? What do I really want? Sometimes it's super helpful to look back. And too many people, when they're asked, or at the end in December, and people are like, oh, thank God the year is almost done. I'll never forget December of 2021, where, it was the pandemic and there was so much going on. Everyone's like, oh, thank God this is over. It was bad. And this happened to me and this negative. And then they go to like, okay, well, what do I want next year? Well, anything better than last year will be, a plus. I want you to think that a good ending makes a great beginning. So can you, or did you have a word for 2022? And if you had a word, awesome. If you didn't, awesome. But at this point, put a word, or maybe you had a word and you can't remember the word, right? I have a lot of people that come to me and like, I had a word, I can't remember it. Can we please write these words down? Can we put them in a place where we are constantly focusing on those words? Because what focus on grows. What focuses on grows. So if you have thought of a word that would kind of summarize all of 2022, what would that word be? Were there some themes that came out of your year? And one thing I always like to do is I always like people to go back to each one of the months, starting with January of last year. If you're doing this mid-year, start with the last month and go back. Look at your calendar. See what you were doing. Look at your pictures on your phone. What were you doing? And write down your relaunches, those transitions, those big things that happen, small things that happen. Write down, were they, positive with a plus next to it, negative with a negative, next to it. And I have to say, again, why do I do this show? Why do I constantly be bringing on people with relaunch stories? Because what we always find, hindsight is 2020. What we always find is looking back, what was perceived to be negative actually ends up being positive. Hey, it changed the course of my life. It impacted me. I went back and I did this. I ended up meeting this person. I ended up being able to start this company or growing this part or looking at the different customer, whatever it was. It's called a relaunch flip. When you are able to take something in the past and flip it around and change the way it is perceived in your mind. Because when you can do that, and we do that for the year, and you look at the theme, what would the movie be called? What would you name that movie of your last year, your life? Because once we do this, then we can finally put that, big bow and say, it's done. I'm moving forward. This is now like, I get what I was supposed to get, right? They always say, if you don't learn it the first time, when something happens, when a relaunch is taking place, if you don't garner those growth opportunities, if you are still bitter or you're still angry or you're still thinking like, woe is me, victim, 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 then you're going to get that back again. Maybe not exactly the same, but it'll come back because that is what happens in life. Until you learn your lesson, well, it's going to keep showing up for you. So now, with that said, as we wrap up 2022, or as we wrap up the last 6 months, or whenever you're listening to it, again, you can do this at any time. And you should be doing this, and you should be reviewing it. You should be looking at it. But here's where I want to take you. After you look at it month by month with these positive and negative relaunches, you look at it from the what's the recurring theme. You then go ahead and you are looking at perhaps you had goals last year, and what were some of the things that, held you back? What were some of the things that got in your way? And I want to really have you think about this. What relaunches held you back from hitting some of those goals? And how could you have changed it? Were there even ways to change it? And when we come back, I'm going to share with you probably the biggest thing that held me back this last year. So stay tuned and come back, and I will make sure that we're tuning in together as we continue to set our course for this next year. This episode is brought to you by my very own labor of love, my most recent book, Relaunch. This book is a collection of my stories, other stories, and is a motivational guide to living a new 3HQ lifestyle, sparking your heart to ignite your life. It's available for purchase via Amazon. Get ready to try on the 3HQ method that I've been using for years throughout my entire life, reaching the next level in all areas, both professionally and personally. Get your copy today at www.therelaunchbook.com. Well, I already know that you are getting to start to understand, because remember, we always talk about awareness first, then you can understand the importance of where we're going, and then you're going to know. You're going to know how to do it. So the awareness came from, why should I even do setting some goals? And if you are just coming in now, go back, listen to the beginning of this, because I set the stage that there is not one person out there listening right now that isn't going to start to do goal setting, whether you're calling it priority setting, whether you're calling it results based, whatever it is, however you're doing it, you now know why we want to do this. We want to do this because we are looking to excel our lifestyles of success. We are looking to not have that green jealous monster within us, but be the one that's like holding your head high saying, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I got this. I'm doing it. Nothing is going to hold you back. And so at this point, as we go forward, I had mentioned what relaunches last year held you back from hitting some of your goals. And I said I was going to share mine. And mine is absolutely, I had a huge goal with releasing my book, Relaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life. I thought, I'm going to release it, go on my big tour. This is going to be amazing. Well, on Monday of the week that my book was being launched, it was launched on a Wednesday, my dad died. Not what I was expecting, right? Not what I thought the big relaunch around the book was going to be about. No. I had to basically I just couldn't. I couldn't go out. And what was really interesting is that the book has a lot of the lessons I've learned through life, through my mom who had passed away. And then now it's being bookended with my dad and his passing. And it was like, I talk about spark your heart. It was like my mom sparked the reason I wrote the book. And then my dad was the reason and how it ignited this true passion of what I'm doing today based on me taking a step back, me realizing that I needed to go into that very sad, very dark space of losing my second parent. And where I came out the other side makes me even say this right now, that there was a silver lining even to my dad's passing. Absolute silver lining to my mom's passing. And I need people to hear this, that as we grow, as we look back and we start to do relaunch flips, taking the bad and seeing the good, that's when we're growing. That's when we're 3HQing into our higher self, our best version of ourselves. So as you look back, you're going to really be thinking, okay, I now understand how that, the year in review, we've now circled the sun, right? We've gone all the way around the sun. That's the 365 days. It's the birthday of a new year. And so right now, and again, you can listen anytime, you can be doing this, assessing this at any point. Quarters are a great place to do this. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. And so I want you to be now thinking, let's focus. I've got you elevated right now. You're tapping your foot. Tune back into that song. Tune back into that song. We've now kind of gone full circle here with last year. I'm tuning in. I now know lifestyle success. I wrote it down. Now I'm really looking at, all right, what do I want? How do you want it to look? What's it going to do for you? What's it going to do for you when December 31st, you are sitting there and you are reveling in your wonderfulness that you've been able to achieve these incredible things that you're like, I never thought. That day I listened to that Hilary girl and she's on the Relaunch, live show. And oh my gosh, I heard her. I followed what she said and I was able to do it. How incredible is that? That's what I want. You talk about a DM me when that happens. DM me in a month when things are starting to change for you already. So and by the way, you can DM me by going on my Instagram, the Relaunch Co on Instagram, and make sure you're letting me know how you're doing with this new approach of goal setting. So now as we keep going, I want to ask you, what would your word be just at first blush, thinking about your vision, I want you to tune in again, tuning into that song. We're changing the channel. We're elevating you. We're making you into that. Remember what I said earlier. We're going into that new thoughts, new emotions, new energy. What would that be? What would the word be? Write it down. Use Post-its. Put it on your phone. I want you that if I were to call you in a week, what was your word? You would know it. When I asked you that, you'd be like, yeah, I got it. All right. So again, when you start to feel like you're getting off track, when you're like going into that, the negative thoughts start coming up. You can't really do that. That's not really possible for you. Oh, you know what? Nobody's going to support you there. Oh, you're going to spend way too much money. Oh, you're not going to make enough money. Oh, blah, 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 all that stuff. I want you to keep tuning in. Keep tuning into that song. It doesn't have to be the same song every time. I wake up many mornings and I immediately tune into what song resonates with me today. What do I need to be playing in my head? And that's the song. That's the song. I come down, I start dancing for my husband, E. He knows what I'm doing. I kind of set the intention and I tune in and I elevate myself. And that's how I continue to thrive and I continue to grow and I continue to connect back to my 3HQ. And this is how your identity will continue to evolve into the person who has what you're envisioning your goal setting is going to be. It is the coolest thing. You talk about midlife crisis. Can we just kick that to the curb? It's not a midlife crisis that anyone's having. It's truly an identity crisis. Your identity crisis is it's stuck. It's stuck exactly where it's been for a really long time. And you're getting the same results you've always gotten because it's stuck. And when we elevate our energy, when we elevate ourselves and we start asking better questions that are relevant to our new identity and we get better answers and we're able to come up with better results, that's when you hit your goals. So again, this isn't just about business. This isn't about, siloing off one thing. It's about looking at it from you are not just business, or you are not just the him to the her relationship or the her to the him relationship. You are so much more. Life is about all of the facets of you. And if you're focused in just one, you're like, I'm just going to focus on this right now. This is the year I'm focusing on, then you're never going to be in that 3HQ harmony. You're always going to be pushing, get out of the head, get out of the head. Limiting beliefs will be coming up. Get into the heart, get into the heart. I'm in the heart, I'm in the heart. But you're not thinking of, the logical things that are going to get you to where you want to go to. You need those working in unison. And then you can tap into your growth zone. I call it the G zone. All right. So just remember, it's not about one and sacrificing another. So the way I look at, and some call it like, vision casting, which is kind of a cool idea because you're like, oh, whether you're a fisher person or not, it's like you're casting that out. You don't know exactly where the fish is, but you're throwing it out. And then guess what happens? The fish comes and bites on that little worm or that salmon egg or that fly or whatever you're fishing with. And then you're able to reel it in. But you don't know how that fish is going to come up. You don't know how to put it in the exact right place. You're going with it. You're casting it. And that's what I want you to be thinking of. What exactly are you looking for? And I call them SCAZY goals. Scary plus crazy, SCAZY. You look it up in the dictionary, it's not there. I created it when my kids were young, and I really wanted them to kind of go out on a limb with things. Don't hold back. And that's what I want you to be doing. Don't hold back. I want you to go SCAZY on me. Go SCAZY. All right. Don't hold back. So first and foremost, with business, I always talk about, and again, when I'm coaching, and I've been doing this for over 20 years, I've run my own businesses. I've raised $10 million for one of my companies. I've done, corporate for 10 years. I've done a lot, but I got to tell you, the thing that I love the most is getting people from where they are today, the reality of where they are, and taking them to their North Star, taking them to that SCAZY goal. And first and foremost, when you're talking business, again, whether it's an entrepreneur, whether you're C-suite, whether you're mid-management, whether you're, an account manager selling something, whatever you're doing, whether you're, in your profession doing your job, you have a revenue goal. You have a personal revenue goal. You may have a goal in business with your profit margins and what you're going to be bringing home. You may have a specific revenue goal. You may have to, in order to, hit the market expectations, you have a different goal. You have all these different goals, but I want you to really think about what would light you up. What would light you up that you'd be like, Hilary, I'm buying you dinner when I hit this revenue goal, when I hit this SCAZY goal. I'm going to call you up, I'm going to DM you, and we're going to dinner. That's where I want you to be, celebrating these things. So you need to understand, how do you, just at a very high level, not knowing the ins and outs, but high level, and hey, tune in again. Get me back into that song with you. We're dancing in the room. We're like, we're just letting it go, but I want to elevate you again. Just where do you think that this revenue could come from? Is there lines of business that you would want to focus in on? Is there something you've always wanted to do? I've always wanted to write a book. And you can have, these are business, you have, your 3 business SCAZY goals, and then you have your 3 personal goals. But what would those be? And you write them down, right? There is we always talk about visual, you see it, then you hear it. And why do I want you to share it with, share it with me, share it with others, share it. You then hear yourself saying it. Remember, your neuro language, the language that your mind, your brain loves to hear the most is your voice. Make sure you say it. And then here's the thing. We want you to be able, with the pen to paper, kinesthetically, you feel yourself writing these things out. You feel them, so you get your paper. I want you to write your SCAZY goals down. Write them down. Be clear. What exactly is it? I want to 5x my revenue this year. I want to add a new line of business. I want to get on 100 stages. I want to get a promotion and become this. What is it? Dream big. Go SCAZY. And again, you're constantly checking in with this. Does this feel right? Is this where you want to go? Check in month 1, end of quarter 1, quarter 2. Always be going back and reassessing. Sometimes, by the way, you end up hitting your SCAZY goal before the end of the year. How does that sound? I've had people that have said, I'm going to do these 3 SCAZY goals. These are the 3 in my business. These are the 3 in my life. And now, wow, Q1, they've already hit 2 of them. Let's add more. Let's keep going. The sky is the limit once you realize how this works. Once you realize, oh my God, this worked. Tuning in. I'm tuned in. You should be tuning in all day long. Every time you start to feel like you're going adrift, tune in. Play that song. I just thought, play that funky song, Bad Boy or something like that. What is that? I'll think about it. Funky Boy, or play that funky song, play that. I haven't heard that in so long. Oh my gosh. You know what I'm talking about, and you can feel it, and you're tuning into that song. I love it. But what is it that you really are wanting? That's where I want you to go. And then here's the key at the end of, let's just say, as you're getting started with this, track your progress. Everything has some type of metrics to it. You want something in life, I guarantee you we can break it down into something trackable. I want you to do that. So as you're looking at end of the week, could be end of the month, end of the quarter, you put on your calendar, this is the time we're going to go back and reassess. You're also going to be looking at your word all the time. Because again, my word is growth this year. Growth. So what do you think's happening to me every single day? I'm finding growth opportunities. It's that, that the places in your brain that are wired, they're wired to give you what you're looking for. And I know you've all been down the path where you're getting, you want a new car or a new bike or a new pair of shoes. And all of a sudden it's like, there they are. They're the reticular activation system. The RAS in your head is specifically designed to do that, to show you what you're looking for. So if you have your goals set, what do you think your RAS is going to be looking for? It's going to be looking to get you that. It is so darn cool. So again, when you have your SCAZY goals, I call what we do on a quarterly basis rocket goals, because you're going to rock it. You're going to be tuning in and you're going to rock it down. You're doing this. And so where you are today and where you're going, we're closing the gap. We are closing the gap, tightening it up. And we've all heard of SMART goals. We've all heard of SMART, which is, S in SMART is specific and clear. M is measurable and meaningful. Again, measurable. A is attainable. R is relevant and real. T is time-based and timely. But here's the thing. I don't believe that smart alone will get you your goals, but smarty, adding the I and the I is identity, and the E is encouragement, that will get you there. And so that's why I am really pushing on you to really think about that identity of who you would need to be in order to have that goal take place. And if you have thought about somebody in your real life, maybe you know somebody who's already done this. Maybe there's a book out there. Maybe there's a biography, or an autobiography, or maybe there's a memoir, or maybe there's somebody that you have thought about that you're like, yeah, that's the type of person. You have to be focused. You have to be able to say, yeah, what about them do I really like? What would that person, if you don't even know anybody, what would that person, what characteristics, what behaviors, what beliefs would that person who was able to have that I'm going for, how would they be thinking, thoughts in their head? What would their emotions be? How would they be feeling in their heart? Right? Now, are you getting it? The head and the heart? Because that will create your beliefs. What beliefs would the person who already has that have? And that's how I want you to be showing up. Not just when you go into the office or turn on your computer in your home office, but all the time. You might be like, that's a lot of work to show up in that capacity at that high level. But that's why we create new habits. That's why we look at it and say, how important is that SCAZY goal to me? What's my why behind it? Why do I want that? What will happen if I get 4x the revenue, or if I get a promotion? What's my why? Is it going to give you the ability to take your family on a vacation? Is it going to be able to give you a chance to have a staycation where you're staying at home and you're just giving yourself the peace of just not doing anything? Is it going to be being able to buy something that you've always wanted? I have a client who went out and bought themselves a Porsche. They've wanted it since they were about 6 years old. I said, then go buy it. Oh, no, all the excuses. I said, go buy it and let's see what happens. Let's set you up on the course. Let's set you up. And we looked at the numbers and I knew he could do it. And actually she could do it. There were 2 of them that just recently did this. But I want you to be thinking about all of this and how you can obtain all of this. All right. So, but again, you got to know that identity. And the way I always look at it is Zig Ziglar, who is a famous marketeer. By the way, Zig Ziglar's real name, Hilary. You can double check that one. But he came up with be, do, have. And it's this great concept. Be, do, have. If I'm being the person that I really need to be, then I'll be able to do the things that I want to do, or I'll be able to do those things, and then I'll have what I want to have. I'll have what I want to get. I'll have that successful house or that business that I'll have the house that I've always wanted, the relationship I've always wanted. The problem is most of us live from have, do, be. If I have the money, if I have the job, if I have the wife, if I have the husband, if I have the relationship, then I'll be able to do all these things and then I'll be happy. And it does not work that way. We have to be focused from being what we need to be in the identity of the person, which is the energy level of the person. Tune in right now. Come on, elevate yourself again. Boom. Let's get back up. Play that funky music, bad boy. I knew it'd come again. Anyway, I want you to be thinking about this as you go throughout your goal setting process, constantly coming back to this. And so then I want you to be thinking about what community, we know elevate your identity, but what community, what network can you get involved with that will be your cheerleader that will be not like-minded. Oh yeah, we all have the same thoughts. Hip, hip, hooray. That doesn't get you much. But what we want is we want the same level of energy. So instead of like-minded, look for like energy, because those are the people that are going to push you. Those are the people that are going to elevate you. Those are the people that are going to allow you to do what you really are looking to do, which is bring in your SCAZY goals, which is accomplish and not have them trying to sabotage your success. Have you ever lived with someone, had someone in the house, had a friend where you call them up, you let them know what's going on, and they're like, really? Are you still doing that? Or, maybe you should go back to corporate. You're making some money there. What are you doing? Where is your support system? And I am going to put out there right now, would love to have you be in my support system. Come join me I have a Facebook group. It's free. It's called the Relaunch Effect with an E, the Relaunch Effect, and be a part of this. I do a lot of free stuff in there. I invite you to a lot of free stuff, and I continue every week. I go live and I give you a tip. It's called Tell It Like It Is Tuesday, and every week you get to do that. But this is where you start to get the people behind you, the energy behind you to keep yourself going. Okay. So where I want to really have you focus right now is looking at your SCAZY goals. And then what you do is you have your goal, this goal that you want to achieve. And then I want you to break it into quarters. How would you accomplish it going backwards in Q4? And if you're doing this in Q2, then just revise and go the last 12 months, or the next 12 months, I should say, looking back on your 12 months. And here's what I want you to do is start to think about, well, what would I need to accomplish high level in Q4? What would I have to do in Q3, Q2, Q1? And revenue goals. Let's say you're not going to be doing all of the revenue, or it's maybe not divided into quarters. You're not going to do 25% each quarter. Maybe it's a little bit different. You put that down as your quarterly goal. Then you look at how do you divide that quarterly goal over the 12 weeks? And what would that look like for you on a weekly basis? What would that be? And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds in 90 days. And you sit there and it's like, you fall off the wagon in 3 days and you eat the pizza, or you have the chocolate cake or the pecan pie or whatever you're going to get. Instead, because that throws you way off, instead look at it like, well, what if I wanted to lose 10 pounds in 90 days? What would that mean? It means 0.83 pounds a week. How do you do that? And then you break it into 30-day increments in that quarter. And then you end up doing weekly. And then all of a sudden you wake up in the morning and you know what you need to do today because you're tracking. Accountability is huge. That's why I'm saying, let me be your accountability coach. Come into the Relaunch Effect, get involved in our world. But I'm really hoping that what you've taken from today is that you are in the power position. Don't let somebody else take it from you. Don't let yourself sabotage yourself from it. So at this point, thank you for being here. Thanks for being with me. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. And keep in mind, it's relaunch today, relaunch now. And we'll see you again next week. You've just heard another episode of the Relaunch Podcast. If something shared in this episode resonated with you, please head over to iTunes right now and leave us a 5-star review. And share this episode with others to inspire them to take the small steps that lead to a life full of purpose and possibility. And remember, you can have immediate access to the show notes and any giveaways at therelaunchco.com/podcast. Until next week, now is your time to relaunch your transition into a transformation.